So we've been discussing the earth's blueprint. The earth's blueprint, which is the image of God. And we've been seeing how the earth's blueprint, we have been seeing how the image of God is the inescapable code of the religious world. How the image of God is the inescapable religious character of the world. So we've been seeing what the image of God is, what the form of God is, what the praise of God is, and how mankind or priestkind, this is the platform, this is the main way that they are to articulate the position of their God and of the religious world. And I have been saying that this is the blueprint, that this is inescapable, that this is unchangeable from times prior to times present to times in the future. So long as we are alive here on earth, this is unchangeable. I've been saying that. And just taking a moment from that, a moment from that thought, to just insert something related to that. Because although the blueprint, the scriptures tell of a time when the image of God will no longer be the thing. The scriptures tell of a time where the code of Moses will no longer be what rules. The scriptures tell of a time when the blueprint, when the inescapable blueprint will be replaced. So looking in the book of Revelation, Revelation 21 and verse 1, Revelation 21 and verse 1. In Revelation 21 and verse 1, Revelation 21 and verse 1 reads, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea." Now we like to read this verse. This verse likes to be read at funerals. This verse likes to be read at, as a comforting thing when someone dies. You're going to see them again, or whatever you would want to say to that. But that's when you follow the track record of the narrative within the Revelation, that sort of placement does not fit the context of what is being here said. That's not at all what is being here said. This is not talking about a heaven, a literal place that you go or you're to look forward to, or it's not what this is saying. If you follow the track record from Revelation 19, which is a war that is not literal, a war that is philosophical or doctrinal, moving on to 20, which is talking about a judgment that is not literal, but a judgment that is philosophical and doctrinal, you move on to 21. In the very first verse of Revelation 21 is the outcome of the judgment and the war from the prior two chapters. And after that war and that judgment takes place, a new sphere is to occur. The old heaven and the old earth are gone. After this war takes place and after this judgment takes place, a new dispensation is supposed to take place, replacing the former, completely replacing the former. Now, what is the former? What is the former? We have the former, and we have been looking at the former, which is our present yet earth, which is a standard called or related to or imbued by the image of God. Our earth right now, the earth here is not literal. You could go back, and we will, to Genesis 1, 6 through 8. You have to go back to Genesis in order to understand what the author of the book of the Revelation is talking about here. Because only by looking at what is taking place in that first chapter of the book of Genesis can you understand the theme that is to carry out throughout the Bible and then to conclude within the Revelation. So looking at Genesis 1, 6 through 8. Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 through 8. Genesis 1, 6 through 8. Remember, new heaven, new earth. New heaven, new earth. Let's get back to the original heaven. God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the sixth day. The heaven is the firmament. The heaven is the firmament. Now, this is very interesting and this is very special because we're not hearing about clouds or anything like that, because all of that is assumed. These are all images to look into, which I'm not going to at this point in time. But with the firmament, there are elements that come with it that the author of the book of Genesis at this point in time is not saying. Just ignoring that for the moment and focusing on the firmament, because what is making this firmament, what is making the heaven so special? Remember, this is the heaven that is to pass away at an appointed time. At an appointed time. Looking at Psalm 150 and verse 1. Psalm 150 and verse 1. Psalm 150 and verse 1. Praise ye the Lord, praise God in his sanctuary, praise him in the firmament of his power. So when we're hearing firmament, when we're hearing that the firmament was established, we are actually hearing that a sanctuary was established, or a sanctuary of power. The heaven is a sanctuary. The heaven is a sanctuary. I understand it may say the heavens were created and this and that and this and that as if it's literal, but this is not a literal vision. As episodes prior, when I explained that when I do speak to individuals about these things in the book of Genesis, the individual writing them, they're not writing them as they happened. They're writing them from a stream of thought, occurring way off from when these things took place. And so they have to be understood according to the context of that stream of thought, which is the context of either vision or revelation. That's what this chapter is about. The first three are actually visions and revelations. So the entire book of Genesis, but more so this, that has to be put into place by a context. This firmament that is dividing waters above from waters below is a sanctuary. All of this is figurative imagery, figurative illustrations. Looking at Psalm 19, 1 through 5. Psalm 19, 1 through 5. Psalm 19, 1 through 5. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. So now we get a little bit more detail about this firmament. This firmament is a sanctuary. The heaven is a sanctuary. Heaven is a sanctuary. When we see that word firmament there, we ought to think in Bible language sanctuary. But we get a little bit more in this other Psalm 19. It's not simply just the sanctuary. This is a tabernacle for the sun. The firmament, the heaven, has within it a tabernacle, or is in and of itself a tabernacle for the sun. The firmament, I'll just say it again, is a tabernacle. It is a sanctuary wherein rests one, the Son, sitting as God, we may fairly say. So when we're hearing firmament, when we're hearing heaven, what is being created here, and remember, when you get to Genesis 2, 1 through 3, there's no such thing as, there's no word creation there, and the creation was finished and this and that. It says the work. God finished his work. Every single one of these days is a workmanship. Each workmanship has a specific illustration tied to it. And each illustration tied to it is something pointing to an allegorical or figurative meaning concerning what is revealed therein. Our world today is a world of communication. Whether it's an important email or a social media post, we all want to make sure our writing is clear, effective, and professional. But if we're going to be honest, we can say that we don't always give time or have time even to proofread everything that we write. And this is where Grammarly comes in. With Grammarly, you can easily eliminate grammar errors, spelling errors, and punctuation errors to make your writing clear and beyond concise. So tap into this source, head on over to my website. This is a sponsor of mine. Click the affiliate link and explore the brilliance of this source. The sun sits in the firmament within its sanctuary as God. This is figurative language. The heaven figuratively represents, the firmament figuratively represents a sanctuary wherein the sun sits as God. Looking at Deuteronomy 4:16-19, a number of verses here, but just going to go through them. Deuteronomy 4:16-19, lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth, and lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them. Here's the key. Which the Lord thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. So remember, we're going to look at this later on, but remember, there is a firmament, and above the firmament are waters, below the firmament are waters. This is all figurative illustration that we're going to look at. But the firmament, figuratively illustrating a sanctuary or a tabernacle where the sun sits as God, we can understand that under this are waters, or under this is a congregation given to observe what is above it. Looking at Ecclesiastes 3:10 and 11, because we have to understand, we've seen this verse before, and we've connected this verse to the earth. And we've been discussing the image or the likeness of what is within the earth for the past couple of episodes. But Ecclesiastes 3:10 and 11. Ecclesiastes 3:10 and 11. I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also he hath set the world in their hearts, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. So the earth and its service is dedicated to a certain group of individuals called the sons of men. We have reviewed this. It is this category, it is this group of individuals that are given to honor what is within and above at the firmament. Whatever the firmament holds, whatever the firmament contains, whatever the firmament is giving off, whatever the heaven is passing on, it is passing on to what is under the heaven, or to the group under the heaven, and the group under the heaven are what is called the sons of men. And the sons of men have a particular exercise. Their particular exercise is to understand the firmament. They can see nothing beyond it. They can see nothing below it. Meaning they can see nothing below themselves. They can see nothing except what the world of the firmament is. What the sun shines its light upon, that is all their eyes can fathom and are supposed to. Looking in Ecclesiastes 1:13 and 14, Ecclesiastes 1:13 and 14, and I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under the heaven. This sore travail hath God given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith. That's very plain. It's very plain. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. So we have to remember that there is a category, and the Bible tells us this in the story there of the firmament and the waters above, waters below. There is a category of individuals that are given to a specific task, and their specific task under the heaven is related to what is within the heaven. Not going to focus on what is above the heaven. We're just focusing on that, on the heaven and the waters below, because that's where the entire image of God is set up for. It is the image of God that is to rule what is under the heaven. And what is under the heaven is supposed to be ruled by what is within the heaven. So we have the image of God giving forth or putting forth a manner of devotional conversation, a manner of ecclesiastical history, according to the scheme there in Genesis, where the firmament and the sun therein are to be ruled by the image of God. And the image of God is to do the same for what is within the firmament. This task is given to, this understanding for what is within and what is under the heaven is given to a group called the sons of men. And it is the sons of men here. It is the sons of men that have that sun beating on them hot, that the author of Ecclesiastes found to be nothing but scorn and vanity. And so touching on waters for a quick second, just touching on waters, what waters mean to the Bible. We've reviewed this before, but it's just fitting here once again. Isaiah 17:12 and 13. Isaiah 17:12 and 13. Woe to the multitude of many people, which maketh a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them. And the verse goes on, pointing this out here because the Bible is very specific. These nations that are mentioned are not nations political. These nations that are mentioned are not nations political. This is nations religious. In the the primary context of the Bible is not a political book. The Bible is not a political book. The context of the Bible is a book of philosophy, a book correcting religion. This is the field or the spectrum or the sphere or the matrix of which the Bible is pertaining to. So when we read these things, we really should not be connecting them to anything other than what that context would have it. Nations, denominations. Nations, denominations. Understand that there are political nations within the Bible. That is very true. But at the root of them all, they do all of their work for the house of their God, as they continuously say. So this house, again, means church, tabernacle, temple. These are denominations. And the denominations here are equated to seas, are equated to waters, no different than when we're at a ball game or something and we look out and we go, hey, look at that sea of people. Same sort of saying. Again, Isaiah 60 and 5, Isaiah 60 and verse 5, Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 5, Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 5, then shalt thou see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged. Because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee, the forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. The abundance of the sea, the Gentiles, the Bible links these two together. The sea represents denominations, and specifically Gentile denominations. Waters, sea, they represent denominations, Gentile denominations. When we're seeing firmament, waters above, waters below, these waters represent denominations. There is a denomination, there are denominations above the established firmament. There is denomination, a denomination or denominations established below the established firmament. What is below the established firmament is under the heaven or is on earth. Earth is ruled by two principles. One, the code of Moses, which is righteousness by the religious law, handwritten religious law passed down. That's one. Two, what is under the heaven, what is on earth, is ruled by the trio or the triad religion and everything that is connected to that. Trio or triad or trinity religion, connecting one, a father, male, chief figure, and then an essence, elegant essence, and then a son figure from the two or along those lines, working together for some sort of reason among humanity or whatever you would have it. This is what is under the heaven. And under the heaven are denominations that are given to worship these things. Under the heaven, there are denominations that are given to worship these things. If our conversation is fixed to the code of Moses, if our conversation cannot let go of the trio, triad, or Trinity type religions, we are honoring what has been given to the earth or to the religious world to honor. We are honoring the deception. This is the image of God that we are fixed into, the image of God upheld by the sons of men that we are clinging to. And in episodes prior, just looking at how the Bible has structured itself around the exodus from the image of God and around the exodus from what that image represents, well, we are locked into the deception. So when we're seeing that firmament, when we are seeing the waters under the firmament, when we are seeing the waters above the firmament, which is a whole nother thing, waters above the firmament, that's a whole nother thing, because these waters are not the waters that are below the firmament. These waters above the firmament do not honor what the firmament is. This is a higher assembly. This is a higher assembly. So now thinking back on Revelation 21 in verse 1, I saw a new heaven, I saw a new earth, there was no more sea. We can actually understand when we put these pieces together what this is talking about. The sea waters, they're not literal. They're not literal. These are denominations, and specifically Gentile denominations. Specifically Gentile denominations. And if we don't know yet, a Gentile denomination is a denomination that is moving forward according to the law of Moses, and that is moving forward according to the trio, triad, or Trinity type religion associated to whatever superstition is with that, plus is dictated to the individual conscience by the code of Moses. That won't exist any longer. That won't exist any longer. There will also exist a new heaven and a new earth, meaning that the old heaven and the old earth are gone, passed away. Heaven, as it is originally placed, has a tabernacle within it where the Son sits as God. Son is God in the firmament. Son is God in heaven. Under the heaven, on earth, there is a code of Moses honored by the sons of men. This code of Moses honored by the sons of men has the world of the firmament, has the world of what is above the heaven within it. So the heaven and the earth are coming together to form one sync doctrine, one synced up experience, to where the Son is being honored via code of Moses. This is really what is illustrated in Ezekiel chapter 8. So this is nothing foreign. What I'm saying is nothing foreign. What I'm saying should be no surprise. This is life as it is. We can just use our eyes and look out and see. We don't have to guess. I'm not saying anything weird here. This is normal. And it's normal because that's the blueprint. That's the blueprint. In times prior, present, in the future, that will be the blueprint. But there will come a point in time where this blueprint that we know will no longer exist. There will no longer be a sea. There will no longer be a firmament where the Son sits as God. There will no longer be what is under the earth honoring what is within the firmament via the code of Moses. This won't exist anymore. It will be replaced. It will be replaced by a new devotional experience. And that's why it says, I saw the new heavenly Jerusalem coming down from above below. That's the transaction. What that is, I'm not going to, that's a whole nother thing. But what that is the philosophy, of those waters above the firmament now finally coming down. There will be a change. And as I like to say with everyone that I discuss this with, we are very far off from that change. We are very far off from that change. This is something that is taking place when we are all going to be dead. So the focus right now, although the language is very colorful and very this and very that, if we would just pay attention to the chapter prior and then to the chapter prior to that one, and then do a little bit of an examination on the chapter prior to that one, well, we would be able to see where those chapters are leading up to when we get those contexts down and fastened. The blueprint that we know at this point in time, there will become a point in time on this earth where it will no longer exist. But we are living in a time where it is the blueprint. We are living in a time where it is the blueprint, where that blueprint is existing for us to see beyond its scope. That's why it's here. That's why the tree was in Eden, right? That's why the tree was in Eden. The tree was in Eden is a blatant deception. So we are living in a blatant deception according to how the framework of the religious world is. We just really have to be able to get in tune to see it, to move beyond it. And as I've been saying in episodes prior, to take our conversation into the temple above. And when I say above, I'm saying beyond the firmament, beyond the sanctuary, beyond the temple where the sun sits as God. We have to go beyond there to the actual temple above and join those waters that are above that firmament, the firmament dividing the waters from the water.